Morning.
Good morning, Tom.
Good morning.
How are you?
Excellent.
Great.
Good morning.
Good
Today's
morning, my
workbook
love.
lesson. Hi. Today's workbook lesson 146. My mind holds only what I think with God. I'll be ready to go in just minutes. Guess we're waiting on Pop. How's everybody doing?
Can you? I'm good, thank you. I hope you're.
Yes.
And did you print the green box group?
Yes. Good morning, Lee. Hi, Cynthia, Santa's, Rainbow. If you guys want to come up, turn this
I
thing
already
off.
sent the invitation.
You did?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, everybody's welcome, like they know they are. We'll get started right when my dad gets here. Just a moment.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hi.
Honey, are we going to share the link from YouTube or which? I can't hear you. You're muted.
YouTube's great. Thank you. Off we go. Here's lesson 146. The music maybe is too loud. Sounds like it might be. Turn it down a little bit here. Magic. All right. Lesson 146. This is lesson summary, summarizing lesson 131 and 132. Every lesson for these 10 days during the review, it starts with, my mind holds only what I think with God. Lesson 131 was, no one can fail who seeks to reach the truth. Lesson 132 is, I loose the world from all I thought it was. That was a fun day. Remember that one? Okay. Every day for these 10 days, we have the same kind of general instructions. We're supposed to take a little bit of time and begin each session by preparing our minds to learn what each of today's review lessons will offer us in freedom and in peace. Open and clear your mind of all thoughts that would block your communion with God. Let this thought that my mind holds only what I think with God, and engage your mind fully. After your preparation, read these 2 ideas assigned today for your review, and then close your eyes and say the 2 ideas for review slowly to yourself. No one can fail who seeks to reach the truth. I loose the world from all I thought it was. There's no hurry. Let each idea, as you review it, give the gifts that the Holy Spirit has prepared for you. This is the only format for your practice periods. Once again, begin with the thought that my mind holds only what I think with God, followed by no one can fail who seeks to reach the truth, and I loose the world from all I thought it was. I'm going to pop back and read the notes from 131. This was the no one can fail who seeks to reach the truth lesson. And to sum it up, no one can fail who seeks to reach the truth, but does the ego's thought system actually seek the truth? The ego is the master of the imperfect question. Remember the example of the imperfect question. Please answer this question with either yes or no. In the last 6 months, have you finally stopped beating your spouse? Either answer will result in your damnation. Your ego does not seek the truth. Instead, your ego seeks proof that its false beliefs about God, you, and love are real. The ego then asks you to correct a problem that never existed. False assumptions cannot be made true so that your ego can solve a problem that never existed in the first place. False assumptions cannot be made true so that your ego can solve a problem that never existed in the first place. The problem itself is a creation of your ego's own imagination. Yet, this is the goal your ego created for this world to solve. The ego seeks to solve a problem that never existed by first making the problem real so that the ego can solve the fictitious problem. The ego's plan is insane. Why not correct the false assumptions and allow the fictitious problem to disappear into the nothingness from which it arose? The Holy Spirit has a different approach to solving fictitious problems. The Holy Spirit's plan simply questions the false assumptions and lets the truth reappear. The false problems that your ego's world was designed to solve now become the means for learning and accepting the truth about God, you, and love. The ego's goal of making the false true is useless and meaningless. Such a goal is impossible to achieve. By following your ego's wishes, you only delay, deceive, and prevent your mind from seeking the correct solution that can recover the happiness and peace that is your true reality. When you believe that the ego's plan can actually work, you mistake activity for progress toward your goal. You fail to realize that you're seeking happiness in a dream of separation that is an effect of the problem. By refusing to question the assumptions that your ego's dream rests upon, you remain trapped, seeking answers within the dream of separation itself. The dreamer's beliefs are the source of the problem. Correct the mind of the dreamer, and the problem of the dream automatically fades away. You cannot solve the problem within the dream itself. Instead, go to the source of the problem, which is your allegiance to the ego's thought system. Time is the measure of change. But what is the egoic thought system trying to change? The ego believes that paradise has been lost and needs to be recovered. The ego insists that heaven is something that belongs in your past or in your future, but is not attainable based on your current state of affairs. Happiness or heaven belong to those who are either perfect, whole, and complete, or have earned their redemption, and the ego does not see you in this light at all. Time is the grand illusion of the ego's mind. Time's an invention of the split mind and was designed to hide the reality that heaven is the eternal and therefore is accessible here and now. Your ego believes that God is not a God of unconditional love, that God did not create you perfect, whole, and complete, that you have sinned, that God has condemned you, and now you must do penance to earn salvation back. Because of this, the world your ego imagines is either a refuge from God's vengeance or a place in which you can earn your redemption in the future. Either viewpoint prevents you from the truth that God is unconditional love and has never judged you. The truth is that you remain as God created you, perfect, whole, and complete. God's will is changeless and is unaffected by your ego's belief in lack, limitation, and separation. No one can fail who seeks to reach the truth that you are the effect of a God of unconditional love. Heaven is only one decision away. Failure can only occur when you seek answers to the imperfect questions that your ego asks. It is impossible to make the false real. Your ego's goal is to seek and never find. Change your goal from seeking to make egoic illusions true to accepting God's will of heaven for you. God's will is now without the past and wholly futureless. Time is a great illusion that heaven belongs in your past or in the future and therefore cannot be obtained in the now. Oh, wow, you guys, that's huge. This is not the case. The ego and its dream world that attack and deny the true nature of God is not real. God did not create the dream of separation. Your fear did. God is only love, and like begets like. You remain sinless as God created you. Your ego's belief that you've somehow lost your divine inheritance, or somehow you have changed God's will, is impossible. Drop your egoic thought system and accept the Holy Spirit's thought system, and you cannot fail. It is impossible to make the false true. It is equally impossible to make the true false. Seek only the truth, and you cannot fail. Today's question is, were you taught, or do you believe that heaven belongs either to your past or to your future? I'll paste that in the chat, and we'll have a nice little meditation by Tom. Thank you, Tom. That lesson had a line in there for me that really had a little revelation. I can't wait to talk about. But I really would love to have your meditation first.
What was the line?
Okay, it was that time is an invention of the split mind and was designed to hide the reality that heaven is the eternal. Heaven is all of time, all the past and all the future. And of course, that means it's here right this second too. You can't hide something in the future or the past because no, that kind of just opened my eyes for a second. I think there's definitely been a part of me that feels like the future could only hold heaven, and I've been living that for a long time.
Okay. That's an interesting insight, and we're going to try and pivot off that perhaps, and just look. But what I want to talk a little bit about before we start our meditation is this idea of
Can you come to the
trying.
mic closer, Tom?
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. Yeah. Well,
Thank
what I'd like to do is to talk just a little bit about what the real problem is. And I think we can do that in a little illustration. The question that was asked in the notes is, have you stopped beating your spouse? And uh, you're to answer only yes or no. If you answer yes, I've stopped beating, in the last 6 months, have you stopped beating your spouse? If you answer yes, what does that actually say? I was beating my spouse, but now I finally stopped beating my spouse. If you answer no, then the assumption is no, I haven't stopped beating my spouse in the last 6 months. So you are still a sinner. You're still continuing to beat your spouse. The question itself is the problem because in that question, there is the embedded assumption that at some time you must have been beating your spouse because you can't stop beating your spouse unless you at one time started beating your spouse. So the ego is a master of uh, asking imperfect questions, asking for yes, no answers, and not giving you the option that I never was a spouse beater. So there's no reason to, I can't answer that question, yes or no, without explaining, me saying, no, but I never was a spouse beater. I never beat my spouse to begin with. That's the question that the ego constantly is asking. It comes from the assumption that you are somehow a sinner, that you are a body. And we need to be aware that if we follow or accept the assumption that the ego makes that you are the body or that you are separate or that you are a sinner, you cannot solve that problem by trying to with a yes no answer. That the reality is that I never was a sinner. The Course in Miracles makes it very clear that God does not forgive because God does not ever condemn. that you are not a sinner to begin with, and therefore this idea that we seek penance, that we need to win our salvation back, is an impossibility because it was never lost. So, with that little background, uh, I'd like to maybe do a little meditation and examine or realize what we truly are and try and correct or come back and question the assumption that the ego makes and says that we're not, just like the boy dreaming that he's a dog. His dream does not change his DNA from a human boy to a dog. It's impossible. And that's what the ego and our world is designed to solve a problem that never existed. So, why don't you get in a comfortable position, whatever that might be? And uh, for some, it might be sitting with your back erect. Others, it could even be laying down. But if you do decide to lay down, we want you to be able to maintain some focus and not fall asleep. So as you rest in that position, just become aware of your essence, what you really are. And what you are is not a body or a game token we call the body, but an individuated aspect of consciousness. And consciousness does not require a body. In this world of time and space, the ego sees life and death as the beginning and ending of consciousness. But consciousness, really, the definition of birth is an individuated aspect that perhaps perceives themselves as autonomous for a given moment, incarnates or moves into or takes up a temporary residence in a body. So birth is individuated consciousness coming into or associating itself with a game token we call the body. Death is individuated consciousness leaving the game token we call the body, but with or without the body, you still exist. So, this whole idea that we are a body needs to be corrected. And as you breathe in and out, you realize that you are light, you are energy, you are a divine spark, and your essence does not reside in the body. Breathe in the energy that you are, and you're pumping that into this body. But we can leave the body, we can move our essence outside the body, and we can actually do that right now. So, energy in the love of God is what we are. The love of God in. And as we just become aware of our essence, just pump that light instead of into the body. Let's move above it and hover above the body and just be aware of the energy that's all around that you are part of, that individuated consciousness. And you hover above the body, just realize that you are not the body, that you're above it, that you can observe the body. And if for some of uh, you are aware of the dreams, you realize that dreams are just illusion. The body is a game token that gives us, that holds a place in time and space in the world of perception, which is a dimension based on our beliefs. And that is not our true reality. For how can we observe or look at something and be separate from it? When we look around or move our awareness around the room, we're not coming from the body. The body, if we look at it, has perhaps even its eyes closed. How can we see? How can we visualize all these things that are outside? You are not the body. You are individuated consciousness, your essence. And as we take our essence and just move it around, can see that as we look into our awareness, we can place our awareness on anything that we'd like. Think of yesterday for a moment. What happened yesterday? We can move back into the recollection of yesterday and we can re experience that in our consciousness. The body is not in yesterday, yet we, by placing our awareness on it, can call that into our being. Time is an illusion. Time is the appearance of something that either appears to be occurring, had occurred, or will occur. But that's just in our mind's eye. We can travel into the past, we can travel into the present. All are available. That's what the scientists are saying. Can move back in time, forward in time. It's where we place our awareness. That's where we are. Ultimately, where we place our awareness is our now. Let's just examine the now that we wish to experience. What would we like to experience? What do we want to call our awareness on? Do we want to pretend we're something that we're not? Do we want to solve a question that doesn't exist? An imperfect question that assumes that we're something we're not? The body? How can we be the body when we're elsewhere? We're observing. We are individuated consciousness. Consciousness is your awareness. With or without a body, you still exist. And as you move your essence around, we could travel anywhere we wish to place our awareness on. Imagine or move to your nation's capital, whatever that might be. Take your essence and in your mind's eye, go to your nation's capital. See that nation's capital. Be aware of that as it comes into your awareness. hover above it, and get that bird's eye view. And as you look down upon your nation's capital, you realize that your awareness, your essence has moved. And again, how did you do that? You are not your body. You are individuated consciousness. Let's move on and let's look now and visit our past. Perhaps whenever you were 13, 14 years old, recall some memory of your past and go there in your mind's eye. And as an observer, just become aware of that experience that you had whenever you were much younger. The difference between the past, future, and the present is merely where we wish to place our attention upon. The present is where we place our attention on at this moment. Your present right now is a memory of the past that happened years ago. You are individuated consciousness. How can you call that into your awareness? Your body is not the same body you're observing. Your awareness, your consciousness, that's what you are. And as you experience that, you realize that the body is just a game token. The past in time and space is a recollection, a memory that we wish to not be aware of in this moment, but be able to recall it at some future time. That's what we just did now. We took something that supposedly happened in the past, chose to recall it, traveled back in quote unquote the illusion of time without the body, and became aware of that past. The future is something that's already occurred in time and space that we've chosen not to be aware of. And we don't want to be able to recall it. And therefore, we place it in what we call the future because grand illusion. It's the belief that you could be something other than what you are as God created you, perfect, whole, and complete. It's the idea that you are separate, that you are a sinner, that you are not God's beloved child, that you have to earn some redemption. It's the illusion that tries to solve the imperfect question. The question is asked, how do you fix something that's not perfect, whole, and complete? God knows you as God's beloved child, perfect, whole, and complete, as God created you. You are that essence, and we cannot solve a problem that never existed. Now, let's go into what we would call our future. Be in the light, be in the awareness as we travel and just again travel in within our mind. We place our awareness on our reality, perfect, whole, and complete, in the field of unconditional love, full acceptance, God, love, energy, what you are. Be in that so called future, for that is your reality. You are God's beloved child, and become aware of the love surrounding you and open your awareness to it and feel the warmth, the love. You are God's treasure, perfect, whole, and complete, part of the oneness of all that is, not a sinner, never a sinner, never separate, but only in the reality, awareness. Time and space itself is an illusion. You are the oneness of all that is, perfect, whole, and complete. And just rest in that knowing and spend a moment or two in that awareness that you are always free to be and imagine anything that you want. But your imagination, your excursion into this fear based world, this pretense of separation, is not real. It cannot change what you truly are, God's beloved child, part of the oneness of all that is. And as we realize that we're consciousness and that we can move that consciousness wherever we want, we've realized that it's our beliefs that are things that we hold that are malleable. Change our beliefs about what we are, and fictitious problems go away. Change our belief that your existence requires a body, that your existence requires an airplane to move you around, that somehow you're confined by the body. You are not the body. You are free, and you remain as God created. The ego and its imperfect question are false evidence and false problems that do not exist. Correct your false assumptions of what you are, and the problems all dissipate. Have you stopped beating your spouse in the last 6 months? That is the question that the ego asks you to resolve when it says you are an earner, you're a sinner, you have to earn redemption. It's a false question. It's an imperfect question that never should have been asked. And the only answer is that the question is an impossibility. You can't solve a problem that does not exist. And since the problem is in your beliefs, all that we need to do is correct the belief and accept the truth. And as you continue on your time travel. Let's return back and place our awareness back on the dimension of time and space and beliefs, the world of perception, not the world of truth, the world that is colored by our beliefs. And as you move back and place your awareness in perhaps the room that we've left and come back to, observe that body and appreciate it for what it is. It's a neutral communication device that lets us play and hold the space on the dimension of time and space in this planet that the mass collective consciousness, our egos, has created to solve the fictitious problem that we are separate, that we are a body, that we are a sinner and must earn our way back to salvation, and that heaven is only obtainable in the future. When you have inner peace, when you know the truth of who you really are, when you are part of that oneness of all that is the truth, that is heaven. You are God's treasure. And as you observe the body, just be aware of all the love, God, and place your awareness back into the game token, knowing that today the body will be the perfect instrument for you to communicate what you wish to experience in the illusion of time and space, that it will help you to experience the idea of what you truly are. You have come here to reawaken to your truth and to play on the game board of individuated perception where you appear to be autonomous, separate, so that you can demonstrate and be love in form. And as you re enter the body, the game token, let's pump our awareness into the body as we move our awareness through the body. We take in the life force that activates the body and start circulating that around up the soles of the feet, up through the back of the spine, the crown chakra, back down the front, back around, up the front of the legs, back through the back, and just continue that orbit of moving energy through the game token so that we could reactivate and reconnect to the body, because we're going to use that body today to demonstrate what we truly value. Will we choose to value inner peace? Will we choose to listen to the voice for our higher self, the voice that knows that you are indestructible, invincible, that you are not the body, that you are invulnerable spirit, demonstrating what love would have me do. And today, our task is to help one another minimize and control our fear And today, make a vow that you will place your awareness on not the game token we call the body, but realize that your brothers and sisters, just like you, are consciousness. And we will not mistake the roles that we play as actors in this dimension of time and space, the appearance of separation, to be our reality. We will not mistake the boy pretending that he's a dog and believe he's become that dog. We will use that experience to demonstrate what we truly value and hone our skills in being love informed. In time and space, the illusion of separation, the world of perception, your function is forgiveness, your purpose is love, and your destiny is the peace of God. That peace of God, that inner peace, that connectiveness. And as you reconnect with that body, just look up and feel the energy pouring down upon you. And that voice of your higher self, God, that oneness, say, you are my beloved child, perfect, whole, and complete, my treasure, my adventure, my explorer, demonstrating, reawakening to your spiritual magnificence as the Christ. Go forth, my beloved child, play in this world and know the truth of what you really are. Perfect, whole, and complete, part of the oneness of all. And as you feel that love, that acceptance of your surrounding, take a deep breath. And when you feel grounded, open your eyes and create a great day for your world, yourself, and all, for you are the oneness of all that is. Namaste.
Tom, I sure would like to get you installed as um, the person that starts the Senate and the House of and the Congress and all of the um, political people as a way to start their deliberations. It certainly would make quite the different world. Thanks for taking us out there and bringing us to where we are now. I remember as a little kid, I was fascinated by the switchboard. Maybe some of that rubbed off on Lee, but not really in the following sense. My father owned a hotel in the Adirondack Mountains, and it was a beautiful hotel. And I can remember um, being in the room where the switchboard operator was. And the switchboard operator looked at this big panel of nothing but one little opening after the other. And some of them, one would light up, and then she would take this cable that was at the bottom and lift it up and plug it into that opening, that portal. And all of a sudden, we could talk to someone who wasn't there, didn't appear to be there. We had to plug in, though, each time. And she was so good at this thing because there were like 250 rooms in this hotel that she could do it almost without looking. She would just, she could pull it up, and then they would say, I want to speak to so-and-so, and then she would pull up another one of those things from the bottom and extend it up from a wire and plug it into another portal. And she could connect all of these, what seemed to be voices. I was probably 5 or 6 years old. And I understood it to whatever degree I understood it. But it makes me think that the beautiful meditations that we have here, I've heard many other kinds of meditations, and they generally tend to plug us into our chakras, the various chakras, and we kind of go up and down the spine where our chakras are, so to speak, and then we come back out. And it's more about learning that from the body we can go to that spiritual essence through the chakras. The focus appears to be mostly on that one bridge there between the physical and the spiritual, the body and the consciousness. What you're doing with these beautiful meditations is you're saying, well, that's good, but that's not all there is, folks. Let's go out into that consciousness and let's get involved in what's out there. And let's see ourselves from a perspective of a bigger consciousness to our individuated consciousness. And how do these individuated consciousness work with each other? And what does it look like from out there? Way out there or closer in? Be free to look at it from various points of view. Be free to look at it and have it bring us happiness just by knowing that we're not just stuck in this body on this planet with the circumstances in which we live. It expands our awareness that there's more. And it's connected right back to our chakras, right back to our spine, to use the physical representation, the foundation of what we are physically connects with the foundation of what we are spiritually. And if we never forget that, and we try each day to remember it, if we never forget that, then we can solve whatever's in front of us. Either there's a question that needs to be resolved, or we recognize that that question doesn't really matter. Like, do you still beat your spouse? And it's a wonderful way to start a day that rhymes. I guess I'm a poet, didn't know it, and so on. But it's very beautiful, Tom, and I just want to thank you for making the effort each time to making these little trips that we take through our own consciousness into a world that's there that we don't always recognize during the day. So thank you for one more beautiful meditation.
Great. Well said, Bob. And Tom, thank you. Yeah, I really agree with all of the things you said. so powerful for the mind. And well, mm, we are in my mind holds only what I think with God. No one can fail who seeks to reach the truth. I lose the world from all I thought it was. Is today's lesson or review, and it's really powerful. Yesterday I had this experience, and in the morning I had I was involved in a crash, 6 cars. We crashed all together. It wasn't anything like bad for anybody. No one got injured or anything. But all the situation, of course, created a circumstance of fear in my daughter. I was driving her to school, so for her was her first like experience with a crash. So the sound might have scared her. But it's funny because she took a moment just to when everything happened. She took a moment and she was calm. But then out of the sudden she started to say like, "Mommy, I didn't want this to happen," and she started to cry. And I, of course, I was really calm, and I started to say to her, "Well, baby, there's nothing that that we could do. It's just an accident." And I started to just calm her down, and she was okay. And her dad came to pick her up, and I had to spend the entire morning in the street with these 6 other cars trying to um, yeah, get the settlements from the insurance people, and the responsible ones didn't have any insurance, so it was really, uh, yeah, it was really quite a situation yesterday. But through the whole day, every single thing that happened that could have been really a huge conflict for the but with the help that A Course in Miracles and all the mind training that I have today, I really didn't experience that big of a conflict. I mean, it was for me it was like, oh, I wasted my time, but it was nothing but that. I mean, it's funny because in my past life, if, if I want to call it like, if you want to say it like that, in my past life with Records and Miracles, this this would have been like this huge conflict in my life, and it wasn't. And it was really calm the entire. I was really calm the entire way. The people that didn't want to uh, get into a settlement, I had to speak with that guy because the insurance people didn't make any progress on it. And I talked to him, and he really changed his mind and made a settlement, so we could all be be by well continue our day. So all these things that always help us, I mean, the meditations, the words in the book, and all the mind efforts that we are doing right now are always paying off, even if we don't see it. And we can feel during the day while we are doing yeah, our activities, we can feel that we are the body. But the mind is so focused on this because of all the days that have been accumulating new ways of perception that we can really overcome anything that we can experience during the day. I really was really happy to see everything with other eyes. I didn't have any anger towards anybody. I didn't crush anybody in front of me, so I wasn't feeling guilty either. I had all the help that I needed around me, even if it took a while. Every time that I look at the hour and I was thinking, oh, I wanted to do this and I wanted to do that, then my mind started to just push those thoughts away and said, accept it, accept it. So I was always saying to myself, well, I'm going to accept this. The weather here is really hot by this day, but yesterday, particularly, it was really tolerable outside. So it was nice. We were under these trees in the middle of the road, So it wasn't such a bad experience, and the only thing that carried away was my worry probably of not having the time that I wanted to have during the morning to some things, but it wasn't that bad. So um, I'm really thankful with this new life that I have today, because I have been experiencing so many situations that in the past would have been like this huge conflict in my life, and it will give me such worries and fear and anger, and there's none of it today, none of it, and I'm so grateful for that. I really feel the freedom, the freedom of, yeah, I'm feeling like I'm the body right now, I'm talking to you. But in my mind, it's building up this huge sense of certainty that this is not my truth. My truth is just God. And I always can ask. I'm always supported. I'm always safe, and my daughter is safe. Even if sometimes I feel sad about the things that are going on around us, I know my daughter is safe. And every time that I hesitate about that deeply and I feel really in fear or something, there's somebody outside that comes out of the blue and reminds me that everything is okay, and that what I'm doing is the best thing that I can do. Yesterday, in the middle of at the beginning of the situation, when Vera was taken away by Kurt to take her to school, I was feeling so sad because my mind was like, yeah, now you're going to go on Saturday, and one of the last experience that you're gonna have with Vera is this crash and this fear. So there's another thing for her to overcome, and I start crying in my car while I was waiting for the insurance company. And I was feeling so sad because I didn't want this to be the last experience with her. And then out of the blue, the therapist that is seeing Vera, she she sent me a voice message because she just wanted to, and it has nothing to do with anything that I asked her for that day or anything. She just wanted to remind me that, or tell me that she was really impressed of what I'm doing with Vera, and that she wanted to make sure that I feel safe doing what I'm doing, because it's the most admirable thing that a woman can do. I mean, she said so many beautiful things about what is happening around my daughter, and that I needed just to be moving forward with my life like this, because it is the best way that we can have our lives and our children's um, um, being like raised in a safe environment. That she has been seeing so many couples that remain together only for the sake of their children not to feel like any kind of um, fear or anything, and the people stay together, and that in the end creates even more conflicts in the children's lives. So she really gave me this beautiful message, and I instantly feel like, yeah, this is the reminder that I needed, that this is not the actual truth, and what is happening today is just an event that for some higher reason we all have to experience. And I started to focus my mind on Ho'oponopono to everybody that it was involved around, and everything went smoothly. Maybe took the whole morning, but everything was okay. So we have to really be continue being up for the challenge. We are now almost finishing May. We are going to be at the half of this year. For me, this is the first round with these lessons. And my daughter was telling me like yesterday or something, like, "Mommy, you're gonna do this your entire life, this Course in Miracles, right?" And I was saying, "Yeah, baby, yeah, baby, I'm gonna do this for the rest of my life." And it's funny because, yeah, my life is no longer the way that it was, and I'm not the way that I was. I'm not the Adriana that lived here. I'm another Adriana, and I will keep just detaching my need of identification to something in order for me to have a more fluid experience in life, and teach my daughter every single day that separation doesn't exist, and that conflicts are just uh, reminders for us to wake up. And I will do it, of course, in a language for her. So I encourage everybody to continue this process, even if it is some kind of yeah, I don't know. It's just that sometimes it feels like I have to wake up to do this. No, don't let your ego take it like a compromise or something that it's heavy, because this is not heavy. So let's keep going with this year. Thank you very much, Tom, and thank you, Bob, and thank you everybody for being here and walking this path all together. So
Yep.
I wanted to share that, and also I'm sorry. I want to say hi to Sean, and I want to know how he is. But I'm gonna give you the mic, Tom.
Oh, I wanted to, if I could, just say something in regards to the meditations. There's a symbol that, and what it is I'll call it an upside down tree. It's got its roots up in heaven, and then the tree branches and everything come down, and they don't necessarily in the symbol put the earth in there, but your roots and I'm trying to do or in these meditations is invert that tree to the proper orientation. Your roots are your spiritual essence, and the branches point down towards the earth and maybe touch them. Uh, but your roots are your spirit. And so we're trying to invert that tree and get the roots where they belong, which is your spirit. And when you do that, then you have the ability to end fear, because this world, you realize you're a spiritual being having an earthly experience, and you don't have to take this world too seriously. So that's what I'm trying to do. And think of yourself as that tree, but with your roots in the spirit, not in this world. Because when we connect to the world, we're really kind of not the body. Thank you. And hopefully, Sean, you're still around. Or, Uh, I'll be quiet.
Yeah, I'm here. Thanks for asking. Um, yeah, so um, I guess, in the path of spirituality, there's times that challenge, and it's one of those times where, it's kind of pushes your spiritual growth to the next level. And, for some people that's pain, for some people that's emptiness, lack of purpose, a lot of these falsehood or fear-based beliefs that hold us back. And one of the things that I've experienced is, observing my action, as opposed to where does my brain and heart and spirit want to be? What am I doing for my to show myself courage or willingness, um, as opposed to showing myself anger or pride, or maybe not even helping myself because of pride issues. So um, I know the next thing after pride is courage. So that's the courage to change. That's the courage to be in a different place. And I think I respect everybody that shows up here, because I think we all have the courage to some level or another. And thank you.
Adriana, the event that happened yesterday with you and your daughter, it's a it's it's an amazing thing because the ego jumped in. It sounds like the ego jumped in right away, and especially in your daughter, and there was some fear there. It didn't last more than a moment. The moment is, it could be a little bit more, a little bit less, but the point is, it could have been so much worse. What it did by what happened is it installed something very important, a real gift in Vera's consciousness. And that is when you have a mishap that looks awful, you don't have to get down into your body and moan and groan and be scared and be complaining and, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, which is just 3 prayers in a row. The next time, if there's a mishap in her life, you just gave her a model as to how to come out of the mishap. It's very quick. Acknowledging who you are, you're safe. We're always safe. That's what the book promises. If we accept the principles, God has our back. If you had gone the other way and started worrying about this and worrying about that and arguing with all the people and the policemen and this and that and see how far the rubber marks on the road made it, and tried to, just argue and worry, and so many things could have happened. I can tell you that about the same age that Vera is now, I was 7 years old. I was in a car accident. A car went through a light on to our right side and hit. I was in what they call the suicide seat, the seat next to probably where Vera was, and it hit me. But that caused the car behind us to hit us, and I went through the front windshield. In those days, they didn't even have the tempered glass that they have now, and I wound up in the hospital, and there was a picture. I made the front page, the only time I ever did, but my face was completely covered like a mummy, and I had to have a lot of surgery and a lot of attention to recover from it. My mother almost lost her thumb because while she was holding the wheel, the jolt was so much that it was left hanging. Eventually, it was restored, and her body was fine, but she never drove a car again. And anytime there's a mishap, how we survive from it is what's the most important thing. We try and be careful and so on and moving forward. I haven't had an accident, thank God, in about 40 years. And I've tried to drive safely. I don't think about that accident. I mean, except in a conversation like this, it doesn't come up in my memory, but it's there. And how things happen and what is done around the event is extremely important. And your daughter now has a terrific model from you. It's a gift you gave her because you have focused on understanding your place in the world. You've given her that gift. So in a way, it made you closer to her. And it's something that she'll always know. She may not think about it consciously, but she'll always know it. And how we react to what's going on in our life is always what it's all about. That's where the healing happens, and that's where we start to grow. So I love that you told the story, and I love that it happened and ended up the way it did. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Bob. And if anybody has anything to share, we are here all together to, yeah, to hear each other. Hi, Daniela. Good
Hi,
morning.
Adriana. Hi, everybody. I want to share actually from the last days, but Janine is not here, but she shared her story about meeting this man that she felt this healing presence, just being in his presence. And I think the course or any system or the religions are just a tool to bring us at that point where we
Hi, Luisa. Good morning. I pulled you up if you want to share something. If not, don't worry. And Andy, I didn't send you the invite yet. How is everybody? I- Okay.
Good morning. Oh,
No, go.
no, I go. Where do I go? I'm here. No, I am really, really touched what Daniela just said, and I actually, yes, that's how I also thought. It's maybe it's not about it's the man, but it's also about her. It's about Janine that she is in this awareness of being connected. So that's why she felt it. And that's why we all are going to feel it at some point, or feel it sometimes yes and sometimes no, depending on which decision we are taking at that moment, if it's love or fear. If we are based on the ego, as I am a little bit myself now, I am full of fear. I am not on that place now, but I've been, and I will go back there again. Um, so yeah, thank you for those reminders. Don't want to get caught in blah 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 here, but thank you. It's good to be here.
I was going to talk to you, Sean. It's funny that you opened your mic because I'm really curious about what happened to you yesterday with the spider.
Oh,
Can you tell that story?
sure. Yeah. So, I don't know why. I was cleaning up a mess that the dog had made in the corner of my kitchen, and I was cleaning it up, and I saw these, spider webs and stuff, and they looked really old. So I just kind of decided to reach in there and clean them out, and I got bit by a spider. Go figure. Reach into a web, right? Um, and it was a false black widow, which isn't deadly or anything like that. It's poisonous, and I looked at it. There was a little dot on it, and I'm like, that's not so bad. And so I sat there and started feeling kind of intoxicated. Started like my blood pressure started going up significantly, and then I called a nurse and I was like, this is what's going on. How am I doing? And she was like, you're presenting like shock, and I was like, yeah, and they're like, call an ambulance. And, so I was like, that seems dramatic. And, so I took a
Oh
Benadryl
my
and
God.
decided to go to an urgent care. And, they were closed. So, with me sitting up and the Benadryl in my system, I started feeling better. And, that's when I realized the shock I was experiencing was anaphylactic shock. And the only other time that affected me, I almost died in Charlotte. And, I was lucky enough to be by a hospital and they were able to treat it. But, what I heard from that event was if you were to take Benadryl at the right time, you wouldn't even have to be here in the hospital. So they were right. Benadryl was the right recourse, and I didn't have to sit in a hospital exposed to COVID and all that other stuff because it's kind of booming here in the US again. And so anyway, that night I just kind of, with all that Benadryl in my system, I just kind of fell asleep. And then I woke up and it's like, mind you, when I was under this, I was intoxicated. I couldn't think for myself. I couldn't think straight. It was really a mess. And then I woke up the next morning and I started thinking, wow, that wasn't the smartest way of dealing with that. Because I had my wits about me, and the person I had around me was Ben, my son, and he hadn't experienced it, so he didn't have any experience. So, that's kind of why I was saying that, I don't really know action wise why I did what I did, or, if there was any intent or, anything like that. But it did kind of give me a snippet of, if something were really wrong, is that how I would treat myself? And, that's the question that needs answering. And I just kind of woke up with it. And, you know, um, yeah, so it was kind of one of those things where, am I not taking care of myself because I can't think straight? Or is there something else going on there? You know, and so that's where I'm at. And it's not necessarily the greatest spiritual guidance, but it's just a struggle. And, I got papers on a separation on Monday, so I'm not that fantastic. Um, so yeah, that's just where I'm at.
Thank you for sharing that. I was curious, and I guess some part of your experience, it is. I mean, you just said like it's not quite a spiritual whatever, but it is spiritual. It's funny because you really like you were so calm that your mind wasn't like really taking it like something big or urgent. There's so many times that mindset helps the body just not to take it badly, that maybe that was the thing that got you through it in a easy way. I mean, it's not probably that you are not taking yourself with love. It's probably that you were in a complete other state of mind, that it wasn't so like attached to the body in that moment. So like, oh my god, sorry, I dropped my earbud. So the thing that I take out of your experiences, yeah, it's funny when everything happened afterwards. You do the review on what happened, and then the ego starts to give you more discomfort around that, or hesitation about what happened, and it will give you learning too. I mean, it's not that the ego is trying to put you down again, it's just that maybe there's something there that, yeah, needs to be revealed inside of you. uh, but it is a spiritual experience, and I hope you, whatever is going on with the feelings that you have over the situation with your separation and the divorce, I hope you have your peace of mind around it, because you really are a very good man, and we are all here to learn more about ourselves. And this is another thing that it's gonna be revealed to you. Maybe not now, maybe in time. So don't I mean, I want you just to bear in mind that you are a loving person, and you are loved, and that you will receive the love that you are, and you're just beginning uh, to unravel that part of your life to experience that. So I send you a big hug. I know that you are being now better with the spider bite, and I hope you don't feel any sore or headaches anymore, so you can have an easy day. And thank you for sharing this story, because I was curious about it when I saw it in Facebook. Thank you for sharing it.
You're
So,
welcome.
so it's 8 o'clock, Bob. So if you want to do what you are always doing on the eight.
No,
Oh, no,
I got it. I got it. I'm here. I'm heading home.
I didn't know that you were here because you don't have your video on. So go ahead.
Well, that's true. I'm here in spirit. I'm here driving home. So I'm getting close to being home. But yeah, we're here every morning. I fell out of the habit of saying it, I guess. We're here every morning at 6:30 reading this lesson. Today's was a pretty good one. Did we come back to the lesson?
Not
I've
in
got to
reading
set
it,
my
but
reminder.
yeah.
Just the title.
Mm-hmm.
Set my reminder for the day.
Okay. Well, the
Yeah, that's
title
what I
is.
was.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Adriana.
No, I was going to say that that was what I was trying to call
Okay.
Bob to do.
um, the lesson, of course, today is lesson 146. My mind holds only what I think with God, and we went over 2 of the previous lessons. No one can fail who asks to reach the truth. If we ask, we cannot fail to find it. That's what that says in the positive frame. And number 2, the lesson was 132. I loose the world, I let it go from all I thought it was. And so when we connect with the spiritual essence of what's going on, somehow we learn that that's all there really is, and the rest of it is an illusion. And how quickly we recover from a mishap in an illusion, the better off we are, because of the simple truth that we have the capability of remaining with a heavenly kind of life, with a heavenly consciousness, with the peace of God. And it becomes the next present moment. We can be at peace even after a mishap. Mishaps happen. It's a mishappening, I guess. I'm not sure if that's from the same root, but we can recover quickly because it's all always there in our spirit. You know, there are many other rooms in this clubhouse, and some of them have hundreds of people. Some of them have stuff that are tapes that, or video, not videos, but copies that keep repeating themselves, and they keep repeating and learning the things that they're trying to learn. Or some of them have, I don't know, looks like about 30 people up on the stage, and they're all talking, and one after the other, and moderator allows one to talk, make sure that it doesn't talk over another, and all of those kinds of things that happen. We talk about this lesson and each new lesson, and there is a continuity that we can pick up, and we're going from one point lower down to a newer point higher up for ourselves. We share our personal stories because they make it real. If we're here as a student to just memorize something and be able to repeat it back if the teacher asks us, that keeps the lesson really away from ourselves until it becomes personal. And at some point or other, these lessons become personal to us. And that's why it's easy to keep on working with the same material, because there is so much here that it can be personal at whatever level we happen to be. The only difference is level. And we appreciate the people who are above us and beyond us. They've already gotten there. They've already been through a lot of this stuff. And we appreciate and we can help the people who are just beginning to learn. And it's not that much different from things that they learn in other places, but it's working. And we have evidence that it works for us. And that's why we keep coming back, because we want to be the miraculous evidence for other people as well. Right now, we're not even halfway through the course. The course is 365 days. We started January 1st. And after that, we're going to go into another section which addresses all of us in a new way. At that point, we will have learned as many of these lessons as we possibly can. And I think one of the earlier things that we'll read there is that whatever hasn't been really learned, you will learn as a teacher, because when you teach it, you learn it better than any other way. That's how you really cement a lesson. And any teacher knows that. And it's the way it is with the Course in Miracles too. And I can just envision having so many more people who know how to react in an accident the way Adriana mentioned, as opposed to the general chaos that happens in so many of those kinds of instances. Even 6 cars, each one had a nick. You didn't even have a nick on the front of your car. So it really turned out okay, because the body is the body. It's expendable in a sense. The physical world is expendable. It's all in our imagination. In fact, it all changes as soon as we wake up. We wake up into a much better life right here on Earth, and we can move our body around, our game token, as Tom likes to call it. I love it too. On the game board, and we can win more games. And I read something the other day about what's the best game out there ever, and somebody said, "Oh, it's Monopoly." Well, I can assure you that that person probably played not only a lot of Monopoly games when he was a kid, but is probably involved in stocks and everything else today. But that's not for everybody. Anyway, I'm just talking because I'm trying to stay in the present moment about what we're talking about here, and giving us a way of looking forward, because it's going to continue to improve our lives if we stay in the present moment and not worry about the future. Lee, you were going to say something?
I don't know. I don't have too much to say. I just wanted to be here with you guys. After I'd finished, when I've got the kids in the car, it's hard to talk. On my ride home, I can talk and we can have a conversation. And so that's where I was going with where I popped in before, but I hadn't really been listening, and so I didn't know where you guys were at. So it sounds like you're wrapping things up totally fine. I had a good Wednesday. I hope you guys had a good week so far. I know we got a long weekend coming in front of us. You guys already talked about that too. I don't know.
Create a great day. Namaste.
Bye, Tom. See you later.
Bye. Yeah.
One of these days, I would like to ask Santiago to come up here and share a little bit about the icon that you use. I'm familiar with it, and it's all what I know about it is it represents a sacred geometry, and it probably has a lot of meaning for anyone who wants to tap on it and get it to the second tap. When you can see it large enough, you can see that it's all made of circles that form relationships with lines, and depending upon which node, which connections you're looking at, it's really a fascinating thing to look at. And I love to look at it almost every morning. I just take a few moments at least and just take a look at the particular one. I think it's probably used by many people who meditate. And as an architect, I love geometry, and I love sacred geometry, which is so balanced and able to take so many different forms. It's a way that I visualize when I start to design things, the geometry of things. So one of these days, Santiago, you're going to come on up and tell us a little bit about it. Today's been an excellent day for me. I've enjoyed being here with everyone. If we don't have anything else to contribute in the present moment, we can probably begin to close up.
I can't do that remotely, so that was the whole point.
Understood. No,
And
understood.
I'm working with some regular old plane geometry today. I'm still working on my button. Came up with some cool new things that I was doing there. We can chat about that for a minute. But if you've got to go, that's fine too, Papa.
Well,
No,
I
I'm not
have to
leaving
go.
yet. So go ahead,
I have to
Adriana.
go, so I'm gonna say goodbye for now. Thank you, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow. And I hope you have a beautiful day.
Have a great day, Adriana.
Well, okay, okay, bye bye.
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 So I think I'm going to also join some business folks that I want to be talking to, and I'm looking forward to a wonderful day. Thank you all for being here.
Who is going to close the room and who would not.
Have a great one, Papa.
I want to say that as a student, the big how can I say this? When you really want to follow the course, you're going to get a lot of obstacles because there is this conflict between what you thought your world was and what you know that your world is, but you're still engaged in what you thought your world was. I don't know if I'm clear with this, but that's the
it's the present, right?
yeah.
That's the present.
So trying to really live the human life, this body, going to work, finding whatever you have to, playing the game. It's in a way it's easy, but it feels very uncomfortable for me, and it's uncomfortable to see that the rest is just living their lives in a very normal way, like I respect and I love, but it's just there is a block in it. Somehow I find this I don't like the word struggle, but there is this pushing. Oh, no, it's not pushing. It's this it's difficulty to balance both. No, it's because it's actually not both. It's one. So I am there. Maybe the silence was just good. Anyway.
I know how you feel. It's okay. I had that same kind of fun, twisty kind of feeling, but in the middle of the reading, there's a whole little point about. I hope you can hear me. I got a little red flag. There's in the middle of the reading. There was a whole point where Tom talked about how the ego makes it feel like the heavens in the future or in the past. It's either something that we had once, it'll never be as good as those days, or it'll always be as good as what maybe will happen in the future. We discount, our ego discounts the moment right now as a possibility for where heaven could be when it's part of eternity. And it's only the outside of heaven that's not a part of eternity that we kind of feel like we're in, we think we're in, we imagine we're in. And it looks like it to our eyes, it feels like it to our bodies sometimes, but most of the time it's pretty good. Hi, Stella, welcome to the party.
Yep.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. How are you, Stella?
I'm doing fine. How about you, Bob? And everyone
I'm
else?
having a great time.
You having a ball? It's amazing.
Absolutely. We have had a very good lesson. We are on lesson 146 today. My mind holds only what I think with God. In fact,
Love that.
we've actually just been talking about that without necessarily quoting it specifically. Well, it says, my mind holds, in other words, remembers, what I think with God, but
You're telling
only
the
what I
truth, huh?
think with God. My mind holds
Yep.
only. All right. So stuff that I don't think with God, in other words, my ego's thoughts, they don't stay there very long. They don't have to
Not
stay there
even
very
there,
long.
really.
Mm-mm.
Is it even there, really? That's what it's saying.
That's right. It's
So
an
what
illusion to
even is?
start with. But you know what? We can still focus ourselves and mess ourselves up a little bit with in being involved with all of that kind of trashy thought. And it's not necessary. Adriana told about she was in a car accident yesterday, but it wasn't
Adriana.
horrendous. Yeah, she's okay. Um, she, three cars in front of her stopped one after the other. She saw it quickly, and she stopped her car, so she did not hit the car in front. But then two people behind her hit her car. So she did all right. The front of her car wasn't even damaged, and it took half of a day. But other than that, you know, she's fine today. And that's the best part of it. We don't have to take a trauma and wonder for the rest of our lives if it's going to make us miserable. The longer we live, the less important each of the little events, mini traumas, whatever we want to call them, have any kind of negative effect. We always talk about a glass half full and a glass half empty. And I know what it means to me. And I hope everybody else at least has some meaning in what that is. It's what's in the glass that counts. If the glass has a bunch of water in it, let's say it's half full, and I look at it and I think, oh, there's so much more, and then I think positively about what's coming. If I think of the glass as half empty, then the thought tends to be, how can I get rid of the rest of the water that's in here? So one is egoic and one is spiritual. One makes me an optimist, and I remember the first time I heard a song called "A Cockeyed Optimist." It was from a play in the 40s, believe it or not. That was before my time. I've always been an optimist in general. Now I have many more tools at my disposal to help me stay in the present time. I am not stuck in the past, at least consciously, that I know of. When I find myself in yet another piece of the web or the glue that wants to pull me back, I have more, I don't want to use the word spiritual armor because that kind of might confuse between different types of religious thought, but I have more tools that's better. I have more tools. When I spot that I'm living all of a sudden in the past again, that simply means I'm not living in the present. And every moment that I live in the present is a wonderful present to me. And I'm able to live a better life because I'm conscious of what's right in front of me, being able to love and fix and correct and make better whatever's going on. So
Thanks, Papa.
my mind, yes, sir.
I just said thanks, Papa. That was nice
Oh,
reminders. What we were
yeah.
learning. So
It's
Stella, how have you been? What's going on in your life?
mm.
We're kind of in the overtime. So Dad that was a great recap for exactly what we were trying to focus on, and it has been wonderful morning.
Yeah, no. Thank you for asking. I'm doing great. I'm doing really good. No complaints. Was on vacation for a few weeks. I'm back now. Still feel like I'm on vacation. All good, all good, all good stuff, all
Nice.
good.
Tell me
It's good to
about
see you
your
guys are still here.
who?
It's good to see the consistency, be
Yeah.
away and then be like, oh, wait a minute, let me check out Clubhouse. And you guys are here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a blessing. It's beautiful.
And Janine is going to become a moderator with us and help us out. And
Nice.
yep. And
Yeah, yesterday
she's
was her birthday. She got some nice pictures in Facebook.
Oh, nice.
Stella. Tell me about your icon that you're using now. I'm always interested in
Is the Mother
icons.
Mary and baby Jesus.
All right. It's beautiful.
Thank
Beautiful
you.
picture.
Thank you. Thank you, darling.
Mm.
Yeah,
It's good.
so how's Adriana?
She's doing well. She's going to come back home this weekend.
Oh, she's away? She's away?
Yeah,
Well,
she's
actually,
down in
she's
Mexico for her
Oh,
dad.
in Mexico. That's
with her
beautiful.
daughter.
Oh, I
But
know. Oh my God, I know she's loving that.
and she'll be up in Boston with Lee after
Yes,
this weekend and
that's
continue on with
beautiful.
her new life.
That's beautiful. That is so beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, I just jumped up. Like I said, I really didn't have much to say. I was just, like I said, had a thought and acted on it, and I'm here.
Good. Glad you did. If anybody else would like to come up, let me know. We usually manage to finish up around 8:30. It doesn't close. The room doesn't close because Lee has to do that officially. But usually what happens after I'm off the page, I don't know because I'm not here. But that's what happens. So thank you all for being here. I'll thank you once again, and I'm going to be leaving. Say namaste, Stella. It's so good to see you. Hope you'll come back again, visit us soon.
It's always good
And
to be here. Thank you, darling. Have a
you're
beautiful
welcome.
day.
Thank you.
Everyone,
Same for
the
everyone.
audience. Love you guys.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
Take care. And I'm going to sign.